And welcome back to another episode of The Water Guy Unfiltered. I'm Paul, your water guy.
I am Ethan, your audio guy.
And it has been, how do you say it, a minute? Yeah.
It's been a brick, as the kids also like to say.
Oh, is that the new thing? I haven't even heard that one. That's
a minute, a brick.
Jeez. Yeah. So, yeah, we actually were just trying to figure out when the last time was we were at this table, and the best we can figure it was November 13th, 2 months ago.
Yeah.
So, apologize to everybody that's been wondering what happened to us.
We didn't die. We're right here.
It was a absolute chaotic roller coaster of sickness, because your wife was sick, then you were sick, and then Thanksgiving happened, and then something happened.
A few things here.
Lots of things beginning of December, and then Christmas happened, and then New Year's happened, and here we are.
Here we are.
2 months later. But, yes, so the last time we got together, well, I should say, did you do anything since we've missed 3 friggin' holidays since our last episode? What has happened exciting in your life? Anything?
Well, other than norovirus, which happened on New Year's Eve, as I shared with you. It wasn't food poisoning, it was norovirus. That sucked.
Yeah, that's a bad one.
Let's see. I got the stainless steel pans I talked to you about.
You got rid of your Teflon.
I got rid of my Teflon. Paul has converted me.
Nice.
Before I knew him, I was just a lowly everyday audio engineer, and now I am a lowly everyday audio engineer that is knowledgeable on the effects of forever chemicals and water and
That's
such.
Good. If I can help anybody, especially you, that makes my heart soar like a hawk. So that's good. That's good. That means that we are impacting hearts and minds, and it's a good day. And I am keeping up. Let's see. I haven't really had anything exciting. Just more consistent. Been hitting the gym consistently. So
nice. Wish I could say the same.
Yeah, the consistency's the trick.
It's key. Yeah,
it's one of those.
I used to be able to do it, but stuff has been crazy recently. My consistency is way off right now. Hopefully I can hop back on the horse next week.
Well, yeah, just get back into it. That's all I could say.
Absolutely. I'm
driven now because it's kind of funny. We were in there, and it was just a rough week. Mentally, it was tough. And I'm in there, and I just don't know the meaning of take an easy day. So my trainer's looking at me, and he's 50, and I'm 55, and he's like, why do we do this? And then we looked around the gym and we said, that's why.
Yep.
So it got me right back, got my head back in the game, and I got those PRs that I was constantly shooting for. So.
Nice.
Yep, it's one of those. As long as I can keep getting stronger and bigger and not get injured, I am good to go.
Absolutely.
And I'm running out of time for my next tournament. Yeah.
Really? When is it?
I don't know, but the last one was the end of June. And what I just realized, well, hell, we just spent 2 months not shooting the podcast.
Yeah.
That's 2 months of wrestling season I just missed. It's not a long season to begin with. So I got to get in the gym if I'm going to fulfill my dream of taking first this year. So anyway, well, let's see how that goes.
Yeah.
As long as my knees and everything hold out.
Yeah.
But so last time we got together, we were talking, it was a whole episode about radon. Because that was like this, oh my gosh, this whole crazy thing that has been rearing its head a lot here lately. And I remember we were talking about the EPA map and how, ignore the map, just ignore the map. You got to get tested no matter where you're at.
Yep.
Yes, and I believe that I had ordered and just done some preliminary testing of my own house with these testing devices. And if I didn't, I'll get everybody up to speed here real quick. So I have a house that's in a zone that's called low risk, according to the EPA. So I never even gave it a second thought, but I have a basement. And I got these testers because we're now in the radon measuring business. And so we've gone through certifications and all sorts of other interesting things, but I wanted to be really familiar with these high-end testing devices. They're badass. They They test out every single hour, like nonstop. They've got Bluetooth. They can download the whole report.
Nice.
Yeah, this is pretty wicked.
Cool.
They track the radon levels, the humidity levels, the temperature levels, the pressure levels. They give me a nice, beautiful little graph. So I set these things up in the basement, and I was curious. Now, I need to preface this that if anybody doesn't remember, and we're talking about radon in air now. Today's episode is all about air, but it's all radon. So last time we dug deep into radon in water. This is the radon in air, which, to be honest with you, is far more of a problem.
Right. I remember
it can come from the water, but if it's in the air, that's the reason why this is, aside from smoking, it is the largest cause of lung cancer in the U.S.
I remember that from the last episode.
Yes.
That detail specifically with
Bad
it being in the
stuff.
air.
So I tested my basement, and the max, pretty much, if you are at 4 picocuries per liter, which is kind of a funny term for measurement, but it was coined by Madame Curie. I remember we mentioned that last time.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a specific thing. How many people? Blah, blah, blah. Here it is right here. According to the EPA, how many people out of 1,000 who have never smoked are expected to get lung cancer from radon if they are exposed to an average radon level of 4 picocuries per liter over their lifetime? Basically, if you live in a house and you don't smoke, and the house has an average of 4, which is pretty much that's the mark that they put out there. The EPA says 7 people out of 1,000. Doesn't sound like that much, right? I guess it's important to know that to those 7 people, it's pretty damn important.
Right.
But still, 7 out of 1,000 at 4. That's how they came up with the number 4 being, okay, that seems to be the line where if you're higher than that, you're going to want to get treatment. So I, in the basement, came back with this report, and it's a beautiful 5.4. And it caught me completely by surprise. I was like, what the heck? I am not supposed to have a significant amount of radon. The map says I'm low risk, but I'm significantly over the 4 mark. So, yeah, that really got my motor started on this.
Wow.
So that was the moment when I realized, okay, we're not just going to be measuring people's homes. We got to know exactly how to treat this stuff, because I'm going to be in that exact same situation of, having to do something at my own place. Otherwise, I am in the higher risk category because 5.4 is not good. So that's in the basement. I tested, which it's a habitable area. It's heated, cooled, and everything. So that's actually where you're supposed to test. So here's an interesting thing. So I was like, you know what? I don't actually sleep in the basement. Now, we do have a guest bedroom down there. Thank goodness nobody sleeps there. But we do have a central, a heat, an air handler that does pull air out of the basement and bring it up to the main level, and so on and so forth, to keep everything all nice and circulated. So I'm thinking to myself, great, now I need to test on the main level. So I tested in my family room after I got the 5.4. My family room comes up at a 3.3.
It's better, but
it's better, but it's way more than I thought I was going to have,
Right.
and way more than I definitely want.
Right.
Because now I'm like, oh gosh, I got 5.4 in the basement. I got 3.3 right here where we just watch TV and eat and do all this great stuff. I don't want this stuff anywhere. So I'm completely committed now to, we got to fix this. So there's one of the premier places that actually that does radon mitigation equipment. They're actually leaders in, they're working with a lot of the regulators to go ahead and kind of make sure that the standards get rewritten. Like we were talking about before, it's been many, many decades since anybody has even updated any of this stuff. So, radon away, I know it's kind of a weird word, but They make a whole bunch of different equipment for water treatment, radon situations, systems in the air, and they're actually one of the leaders out there. So they also do their own training courses.
Okay.
So we started checking in, and we're like, all right, well, in the Commonwealth of Virginia, you cannot charge and do radon testing without having a certification. So the first step for certification is to take the class. So one of my other guys, because I was tied up doing other things, that was a 2-day super intensive class. So he had to go take that. So he's working on getting he has a certification for the class. Now he has to take the exam. It's I think it's 3 hours and 15-minute long exam.
Wow.
It's no joke. Just to be able to measure. So I was like, great, he's got that covered. So I went and took the class on mitigation because I'm thinking, at a minimum, I need to know how to do this because I got to do my own house. Mm. So the mitigation class was actually 3 days of intensive. So I was out of commission for 3 days, and then I found out that I have to actually take all of the class that he took in addition to the 3 days. So mine's actually a 5-day one. So I got to go back and take the other 2 days that I technically missed of his stuff, and then I have to take another 3-hour test. Actually, I think I have to take 2 of them. I have to take measurement and mitigation, but then I'm completely certified. So that's the ultimate goal here, is to basically be very knowledgeable, know exactly what people need to do. At this point, I don't really have any intent of being a mitigator for radon in the air, because there's plenty of people out there that already do this stuff, but it is nice to know what we're supposed to know. So I do know that between 2 and 4 picocuries, you should get treatment. Above 4, you better get treatment. And my living room was at 3.3. So of course I'm in that you should get treatment category. So there's a whole bunch of good stuff here. So if you're listening to this episode today because you're kind of curious about what you need to know, this is going to be a multi-purpose podcast, because it's going to have a whole bunch of cool little factoids and things like that. You wouldn't even believe it, but you have to know things like, how many protons does radon contain? They threw that one out there, and they're like, yeah, we're reviewing the first class, the first 2 days of class. And I'm thinking, great, I knew I should have somehow taken those 2 days. But for those of you that are curious, there are 86 protons in radon. Interesting. And an alpha particle is made up of 2 protons and 2 neutrons. You got to know that, otherwise you're going to fail your test. So, some good, interesting things. And some little cool info. In the United States, what's the greatest source of ionizing radiation to the population? I'm going to give you this is a multiple choice here. Do you think it's radon gas, nuclear medicine, medical x-rays, or cosmic rays? It could be any of these. I know, I was reading these going, these aren't gimme questions. It could be like any of them. You can't just guess. I just happened to guess wrong on that one. I figured medical x-rays.
Right.
But no, it's radon gas. Radon gas is the greatest source of ionizing radiation to the population in the U.S. right now. More so than medical x-rays.
Really?
Kind of bizarro, because you know how serious, if you go in for an x-ray, they put the lead blanket around your junk. Yeah. That's, it's no joke.
Did you say around your junk?
Yeah.
It just processed.
Yeah. I am in high gear today.
That's crazy, though.
Yeah, I know. These are all. I was looking through all my quizzes that I got through, and I'm like, you know what? This is great information that I could take 3 days and try to condense and probably get out there in a more concise manner than the nuclear physicist that taught the class. This guy was he was over the top. Great, super knowledgeable guy, but his teaching was high level. We'll just put it that way. Yeah. So, no, you don't care about that particular one there. If I highlighted these, I wanted to definitely mention them. What proportion of homes in the United States is at or above the action level of 4 picocuries per liter? What do you think? What percent of homes that's out there? Realistically.
It's
Not,
like on a scale from 1 to 100%, pretty
yeah,
much.
yes.
I'm gonna go out and say 60?
6%.
6%?
6%. That's what they say. That is up for debate.
Really?
Because right now, what they're finding is that is based on like the EPA chart.
Oh.
Yes. It's nowhere. I am shocked because it was, let's see, my place, and then my water specialist, he has a new house on a slab. I don't know if I mentioned this one in the last episode or not, but he took the testers home after he was like, "How did your test go at your place?" And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I failed miserably." So then he's all freaked out, but he's over even further east than I am. So he's in that like almost no risk area. So he sets it up and he's at like 4.1 or something. So he's freaking out. And then I was at, where the heck was I? I was out near the coast. The coast. Nowhere near the mountains. Everybody's like, oh, if you got mountains, you got radon? No. I was out at the coast at one of my clients' mom's places. And it was in a basement. And the whole place had just been redone. And I was like, what are the odds that you've had your radon tested here? Because this is a basement. And she's like, it's funny you say that because my daughter is a realtor and she brought over a radon tester. And she's like, let's look at it. It was actually downstairs in the HVAC room.
Oh.
Open up the door and that thing has like the average reading over the last month, 4.78.
Wow.
I'm like, oh my gosh, my house, Chris's house. Now this other house, that's 3 out of 3 that are over 4. So this 6% of the houses, that's not even, I don't believe that that's even remotely close to what the real number is. I mean, I was just at 100% out of 3 houses. 6%, so pretty bad.
Right.
That's pretty low. But the test answer, for those of you trying to study up, 6%, 1 in 15 houses is the estimate. That's the number, the current number, but I guarantee you that's going to be changing. So you're probably thinking, well, geez, if radon's out there, it's outside. And you're absolutely correct.
Yep.
What do you think your radon exposure level is, your average radon level is outside in the U.S.? If 4 is the max, what do you think it is just blowing around in the yard?
Oh, like in picocuries per liter?
Yes, yeah. Like 4 is bad in a home, so what do you think it would be out in the grass?
I'm gonna guess. I'm gonna go double. I'm gonna go 8.
No, that would be awful. If it's twice as bad outside, we'd all be dead of lung cancer.
Dang.
Thank goodness you're wrong on that one. Because it's 0.4.
Okay.
It's
all right.
10 times lower than the worst level.
Dang.
But still, you got 0.4 outside. That just shows you that you can't get away from it. It's
Right.
there, but in low levels, it's just one of those things that happens in nature.
Right.
Can't get away. But it's out there and it gets diluted with all the the air and the wind and all that good jazz.
I was confident in my answer.
I know you were scaring the crap out of me. I was thinking, oh my gosh, if it's worse outside, don't leave the house.
Why not double down? 8.
That was crazy. All right. How do you think most of the radon gas gets into the house in the United States?
How it gets into the house?
So I'm going to give you this is a multiple choice.
Okay.
Do you think it comes in through well water, like it comes in through the water and then gets out into the air? Do you think it comes from what they call diffusion of radon through the floor and walls? Basically just kind of moves from the outside into your home or
Right.
through high concentration to other places? Or building material emanation? Because there's like granite countertops that have been, this was a big thing that I think it was the Korean people.
Mm-hmm.
They're probably going to sue me for saying that. Back probably 15 years ago, they made a big stink out of the fact that radon comes from granite countertops.
Huh.
And technically, they're right. But it's such a tiny amount. But that If it comes from building materials like that, that's called emanation. It's emanating from this product. Or D, infiltration of soil gas into the building. Basically, is it coming out of the dirt and getting into your home from the dirt?
I'm gonna guess through the dirt.
Through the dirt. You're exactly
Is that
right.
right?
That is the highest. Everything else is pretty much insignificant.
Huh.
But good answer. So I'm trying to give you the class with the actual learning process so that you might actually be like, oh, I get it.
I understand now.
I get it. You might be certifiable. Da-da-da.
Let's go.
Yes. So radon mitigation. When we're mitigating, that mitigation means fixing. So if we're trying to fix mitigation in your home or minimizing it, one of the most common methods to do that is to use air pressure differences.
Okay.
So a fancy word for saying we're going to suck it out. You're basically, if you have, let's just say that you have a house like I do with a basement. The basement doesn't have a dirt floor. It's got concrete. It's got walls that they build, and then they pour concrete in there, and they spread it all out so it's nice and level and pretty. Well, what ends up happening is you get these little teeny tiny fractures in the concrete, and you've got expansion joints, and you've got these areas where the concrete meets the walls, where, like in my house, they put little foam sheeting up against the walls so that when they poured it didn't, it had room to expand and it could push into this stuff without just literally blowing the walls out. Right. Unfortunately, all those little cracks and openings, you got to remember, radon is a monoatomic particle. It's super, super freaking tiny. So it loves what looks like a little tiny crack to us. It's like a super highway for radon. So you see this little tiny fracture in your basement floor and you're like, I can't be coming up through there. Oh my gosh, it's just blowing up through there.
It's like the I-95 corridor.
It's like the I-95 for radon.
Yep.
So yes, so we basically, and this gets back to the mitigation strategies. Basically what you have to do is, first thing you do is you seal all your cracks, all your openings, everywhere where it could just be kind of like finding an easy path to come up. And then you drill a hole and you put what's called a suction pit. You have to dig down, and the regulation is a minimum of 0.25 cubic feet. Everybody's like, how big is that? 2 gallons. Basically, if you can fill 2 gallons if you pull 2 gallons of gravel and dirt out of this hole, that's what we call a suction pit.
Okay.
And then you put this pipe, the big PVC pipe, or something else that's rated to be able to handle it. You stick this thing down in there, and you hook a fan. You run it to the outside of your house, run it up the side of the house, and it has to go up above the roof line. There's some exceptions to that, but beyond the scope of what we can talk about today. But basically, there's a fan outside your house attached to this pipe, this big 3 or 4 inch pipe, and it's kind of like a shop vac. And if you can imagine, it's sucking on your concrete slab, but it's sucking from underneath. And this whole thing still blows my mind, how you can actually get air movement from underneath your house.
Right.
I keep thinking, isn't it like just sucking on a jar?
Right.
It's just, your shop vac will just be like,
you're gonna hit a vacuum point.
Yeah. You just won't be able to suck anymore.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
But no, there's actually air movement underneath the house. It's the craziest thing ever. So what we end up doing is, yes, we punch a hole, put a vent pipe in there, create suction, and we just suck this stuff out. So instead of it trying to find a path through cracks, crevices, and pores in the concrete, now you've got negative pressure underneath your slab, and it goes, oh, let's find, this is much easier. And instead of going towards the I-95, it's getting sucked out through the thing, and it goes out in the roof and joins the rest of its buddies out in the yard. Huh. Kind of crazy.
Yeah.
So we use in radon mitigation, the most common way to deal with it is air pressure differences, which is sucking on the floor. So here's a cool thing. My first test that I did in the house, you're gonna love this. And I know everybody listening is like, I can't see. I don't know what he's doing. I have a graph that I'm showing Ethan right now.
Yeah.
The jiggly, the spiky one, those are the radon levels over the course of 12 hours, 18 hours, 20, basically 1 day, 2 day, 3 day, 4 day. What do you see for the first 3 days of this? It's pretty much constant, right?
It stays kind of stagnant.
And then all of a sudden it jumps up like a whole 2 points. And I start having these spikes that were over 7 picocuries per liter. And this was when we had 3 days of rain.
Oh.
Yes. So the rain coming down on the dirt around my house made the radon from underneath. Apparently, it was like, man, it's hard to get out. This dirt is wet. It's easier to come up through Paul's basement. And that's exactly what ended up happening.
I'm like, man, Paul's basement looks kind of cozy right now.
Hey, guys. Hey, Radon Jim, let's go over here. It's much easier to get into this house than it is to go up through the mud. But yeah, isn't that just... I nerded out when I saw the graph. I was like, what the hell just happened?
That's crazy.
I'm dying on Saturday. And but that's what that was all about. So there's a purpose, because one of the questions on the things that we were training is what weather condition causes the indoor radon concentration to rise the most over a short period. Without even knowing the answer, I was like, rain. It's got to be rain.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what it is there. You have 1 inch of rain. Answer is B.
Huh.
So I nailed that one. But it all made sense because I saw it on the graph of my own home. So it was kind of almost exciting because I was getting a chance to see real life what was going on. And let's see here. If you are in a northern climate, not Florida, but a place that actually has heating season, what is the greatest contributor to radon getting into your house in a year? Do you think that the biggest cause would be a bathroom fan, a dryer fan, stack effect due to indoor heating in the winter, or venting a conventional furnace to the outside? These are tough answers.
Yeah.
Any one of these could be right. And they're all partially right.
Yeah, they sound like likely but unlikely, all of them at the same time. You know what I mean?
So the trick, greatest contributor.
Right.
Everything that I just read off actually does contribute.
Right.
Like, and think about it, a bathroom fan, if you're up, let's just say you're in your bathroom, you take a shower, you turn your fan on, what happens? It takes the air that's in your bathroom and it sucks it up and it pushes it outside, creating a negative pressure in your bathroom. Well, your bathroom doesn't live by itself. Your whole house is part of that. So when you turn the bathroom fan on and you start sucking on the air, you're actually helping the makeup air can be finding an easier path for the radon to come out of the basement. Yeah, so just don't leave your bath fan running all the time, because you could be killing yourself with radon, getting rid of the humidity. The dryer fan, exact same thing.
All right.
And you know those things, they just blow like crazy when they're going. So yeah, whenever you run your dryer, you're sucking air out of the house, which means you're pulling it up easier through the ground. But the other potential one, venting a conventional furnace to the outdoors. A conventional furnace, there's not too many people have conventional furnaces anymore. Almost everybody has switched over to the high efficiency, meaning you got a PVC pipe that sucks in air from the outside. But I do have some people that I know that have like a wood burning stove.
Nope. We used to have
or
one.
a chimney, a regular old chimney. Well, every time you fire that chimney up and the smoke goes up the flue, it creates negative pressure in your house, which can pull the radon up. So just be cautious with all that. These are all things that they make you go, maybe I shouldn't do so much of that.
Yeah.
I get sleepy when I'm doing those things. But this thing called stack effect, due to indoor heating in the winter, that's the one you're probably like, that sounds dumb. That's probably not it. That's the winter. That is what actually happens, because it heats the air up in your house, and kind of like going up the chimney, that air goes upstairs and literally creates a negative pressure, like a low pressure in the lowest level of the home, which tends to pull that stuff out of the ground. So That is the biggest one because the heating system is typically on most of the time or in your house. And these other things are just temporary. So, it's crazy. I had a house up in the Chicago area that actually had it had ductwork for the HVAC system.
Oh, yeah.
Under the slab. It was in the dirt.
Huh.
Yes. You're probably thinking, well, that doesn't sound like a good idea. At the time, everybody's like, oh, that's great. You don't have ducts in the walls.
Yep.
Well, yeah, you also have radon that you're sucking in or blowing out with the rest of your...
It's just penetrating the air that's going into your home.
Just making it wonderful.
I wonder what would the results be for like taking an average from winter and summer for radon.
It's worse in the winter.
That makes sense.
It is because of the heating
season.
season. Yep.
Yeah.
Good question, though, but that shows it's exactly, you think like that, then you're like, now I understand why it's worse. And the other thing in the winter, you're in the house.
Oh, yeah.
You don't spend as much time outside, so you're exposed to it more.
Your body itself is getting a higher concentration.
Exactly. You nailed it.
Interesting.
You friggin' nailed it.
Yeah.
Oh, and the other thing that'll really cause it to be a negative pressure in your house is, let's say a wind is coming at your house. All the windows are closed except for the windows on the back side, like the direction the wind is blowing. If those are open, it'll actually suck the air out of the house through the back and cause radon to get pulled out of the ground pretty significantly.
Huh.
So in a wind, try to open both, the wind side and the other side, if you really want to get some ventilation without creating a negative pressure situation. Just food for thought. Just thought I'd mention it. So, I have another test on my house, but we got to cover one thing before I go into that 4.9. I gave it away. All right. When we go out there and we start looking to see exactly how we're going to mitigate this stuff, there's a few things that have to be done. We call it a building investigation. It is required. You have to have diagrams. Now, if anybody listening to this is having radon mitigation done, these are the things that are currently required. So if you're getting a radon dude and he doesn't know what a building investigation is, you might want to get a second opinion.
Find a different guy.
If he does not give you any sort of diagram, you need to get a second opinion, because these are all required to get your certification. So either they're not doing it because they grandfathered and they just really haven't taken any continuing education like they should have, or they just are. There's a lot of people that do this and they aren't certified and they're just BSers. Believe it or not, there's some shady folks out there in the construction and service industries. Say it ain't so. I know. If you have somebody that comes in there and they're doing their test and they use nothing but what's called a smoke stick or a smoke test, that is not okay. That's what's called a quantitative diagnostic test. You have to have a qualitative one, meaning you got to have, actually that was a qualitative, not a quantitative, sorry. That was a false question there. Smoke test is considered quantitative. Is false. It is not. It does not give you a quantity. It gives you a quality. You have to use a digital micromanometer.
Okay.
Not only just any of them, and believe me, because when I was gearing up for this, I'm like, let me see what I could find for digital micromanometers. You have to get one that can read in inches of water down to 1,000th of an inch. Because your number 0.004 inches is the minimum. That's like the least effective number that's okay, because you have to, well, we'll talk about that in a second. They're going to have to do something called, they're going to have to analyze your house for a PFE, a pressure field extension. Fancy word. I forgot the freaking thing. Like, I can't tell you how many times I was thinking, what the PFE? Damn it. Now I finally remembered it. But all that is a fancy word for, remember I said you drill a hole and you suck out of that hole?
Yep.
You're going to drill a bunch of other little holes, and you're going to put this little gauge in there, and it's going to measure the suction that you get when you're sucking out of the big hole. Yeah, I love making things simple. So your pressure field extension is the floor, and you're trying to figure out how well the air is moving under the floor. So you drill a bunch of little holes, and you can measure it. And as long as your furthest away is 0.004 inches of water, it's okay. Now, that's a teeny tiny number.
Yeah.
Like we were thinking, it's hard to suck on a jar. It's not really a jar. It's kind of a jar with a little bit of micro holes in it.
Small.
But as long as you can get 0.004, just a little bit of movement, it's still enough to kind of help give that radon a superhighway to come on out. But anyway, yes, you got to have a digital micromanometer to get quantitative analysis. And yes, you can still perform the same test on a submembrane system, which is a fancy word for crawl space encapsulation. Like if you have a membrane, plastic down your crawl space, you could still do this. But you have to seal up all the areas around it. So you don't want to suck on it over here and then have the other end just open and, because all that's going to happen is just going to suck it right under the plastic sheet. So when you're doing this PFE test, you got to have the building closed because they want it to, you have to see what the floor is actually going to do. You can't have doors open because that may impact how this thing reads. But we are preparing to do, in most cases, the way they mitigate for radon in the air is called ASD. Stands for active soil depressurization. That just means you're going to suck on the dirt, whether it's on concrete or whether you're going through a membrane, like a plastic sheet. My gosh, we just been blazing through this with no break. I just now looked at the clock. I got so jacked up. Do we need a break? Do you need a break?
That is up to you.
I don't need a break.
I'm doing
If
all
you guys
right.
need a break, hit pause.
We'll be right here.
We're going to power right through this. Because hopefully this is as riveting to you as it was for me. For 3 days, I was sitting there just pacing like a lion. But most of the time, the active soil depressurization technique is they drill a hole, in a big hole, they put a shop vac on there, and they start sucking on it, and you see how well your floor responds. Sometimes you got to drill another suction hole to be able to spread that out, because sometimes there's underneath your foundation there may be some walls that are dividing it, so it doesn't really suck too well from one side of your house to the other. Or really big ass houses, you may have to have more than one suction point.
Hate when I have to have more than one suction point.
Yes, that it gets interesting, and that won't be dove into today because that's like more advanced stuff. But if you're doing a something other than ASD, so ASD is sucking on the dirt. It's almost the same thing. Always sucking dirt. Now I'll remember it, but I'll remember it wrong. But there's other ways you can actually, instead of sucking on the dirt, you can pressurize the dirt. So instead of suction fans, you can have fans that actually blow air underneath there and try to kind of create a high pressure environment under your slab to push the radon out kind of like a balloon. Like a wave, to get it like, hey, it's hard. Don't come over here because you're going to have a harder time getting through this high pressure area. Go around this house. Go around and up through the dirt. So that's kind of a 1% of the stuff that's out there. But anyway, you still have to do diagnostics on that because you have to know if that's a method that you're going to use or not. But anyway, we're going to just, the active soil depressurization is the most popular way to do it. But as long as your pressure field extension, as long as on your furthest area, we call it the weakest point, is 0.004 inches of water column, then you still have an effective pressure field extension. And these standards are set by ANSI, and ARST. ARST. And ARST is kind of funny because ARST has been changed. But it stands for American Association of Radon Scientists and Technicians. But you can't find that without a lot of digging, because that organization has now changed over to Indoor Environments Association.
Oh, they made the acronym shorter.
Yes.
That's kind of them.
Yes. It's an IEA. A lot simpler, but the reason that they did that is the other one was so specific on radon. Mm-hmm. This is digging into things other than radon. So they're more generalizing. So I get why they did it, but hopefully that helps explain why if you're looking for ARST, you're like, what the heck? I don't even know where this organization exists. And if you look it up, you're going to get routed right over to the Indoor Environments Association site.
Same thing.
Same thing.
Awesome.
So if your person or you are trying to mitigate radon, now I completely hope everybody got the point. No matter where you live in the United States, radon doesn't give a crap about the EPA map.
You're probably going to have radon.
You might have radon. You definitely want to know if you have radon.
Let alone how much you have.
Exactly. And yet there's some, if you want to get some of the cheap do-it-yourself kits, do it. You do not want, even if you pay somebody to come out and do a professional test, it's probably going to be $300.
Right.
$300. If you don't have $300, I get it. It's not one of those things you just want to go out there, and it's not in the budget to just be curious about radon. Mm-hmm. There's other cheaper things that are on the market, like little charcoal things that you can set them up in the house and then go ahead and mail them in, and you can at least get a rough idea. Right. It's always best to have a professional do it, because there's a lot of parameters that have to be checked, because you don't want to do your own test and then find out you did it wrong and thought you didn't have any radon, and then it finds out, oh, I had all my windows open. And I didn't know you couldn't do that.
It's the same premise as testing water. Because when y'all test the water, don't y'all keep it cool so the pathogens don't...
Yeah, well, yeah, for pathogen tests.
Yeah, pathogen tests.
We got to put that stuff on ice right away.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, get your house tested. I just want to make sure that no matter what, if you don't get anything from this podcast, get your house tested, because even a $300 for a professional test, it's cheaper than cancer.
That is true.
It's a horrible thing, and you don't want, even if you're at the 4 mark, those 7 in 1,000 of non-smokers. If you're a smoker, it goes way up.
Yeah.
It's because you've already weakened your lungs. But if you're a non-smoker, there's still a 7 in 1,000 chance that you're going to end up with lung cancer, even at 4.0. So it's nothing to play around with. You deserve to know what you're dealing with there. And don't feel bad if you have it. I had it, and I had no friggin' idea for the last 15 years.
Right.
I was living with it. So now I'm like, oh, that's wonderful. Cancer's wiped out half my family, and here I am flirting with it. Didn't even know it. But anyway, general design. You're going to get a radon guy, or you're going to do your own radon thing. First thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to seal all of the cracks. I'm assuming that let's talk about basements. Concrete. You're going to want to make sure that all those little superhighways, that you have sealed those things up. And don't seal them up with concrete. All that's going to do is crack again. You need to get the butyl sealant, like Home Depot, Lowe's, anybody sells it. It's called Sika.
Sika.
Sika. It's a wicked self-leveling. It goes in a caulk gun. You can get little regular ones, or you can get the big old contractor size caulk gun. Oh. It's like $20 a tube for the big ones. It's not cheap stuff, and I will tell you that it has a brutal odor as it's curing for probably 2 to 3 days. So keep that in mind. Like if you have sensitive pets like parrots and stuff like that, like I do, I had to be really cautious to make sure that I kind of ventilated that area while this stuff was curing.
Right.
But where I'm going with this is that you have to spend a lot of time sealing your cracks. You got to find your cracks. You got to look where posts are in the basement. You got to look around, you got to pull everything away from the walls And unfortunately, a lot of these basements are finished. You can't get to the area where the floor like meets the actual cinder block or poured concrete wall. So you got to be able to get to that. And if you can't, then you can't. But try to get to it. Try to seal the cracks up. So my floor, it was probably 1,200, 1,500 square feet in the basement. It's a decent sized basement.
Yeah.
And I had this little teeny like hairline crack that ran all the way where the two pores came together. And then I had the whole perimeter of this thing. And by the time I was done, I went through 12 of the ginormous Sika tubes. So it's like $250 worth of Sika.
Wow.
Yeah, more than you would expect. But I'm like, you know what? I got to do this anyway, because when you mitigate, you got to plug up everything so that you actually start sucking on the dirt and you don't just start sucking air back down through the cracks. And then you end up with a whole section of your basement that doesn't get suction because it's on the other side of a crack. So then I was like, you know what? I spent all this time sealing these cracks up. I wonder if I have stopped or slowed down the radon to any degree. You know?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, you know what? I got $4,000 worth of testing equipment. Let's go ahead and retest it. I retested the basement, and I went from a 5.4 to a 4.9.
Wow.
That sucked. It's a 10% reduction, but it's still 4.9.
Yeah.
So here's what I wanted to share with everybody on this whole thing. You have to, as part of the mitigation, you got to seal the cracks anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody, either you can do it or you're going to pay somebody to do it. Either way, you have to do it to have the system work properly. But that by itself is not going to protect you. That was kind of like my own little experiment, so that in my own mind, I'm like, okay, I can see I literally went down, exactly 10%. But that still brings me way over the limit. So not where I wanted to be. Sealing by itself is not going to fix your problem. But you got to do it. So yeah. You can't go wrong sealing. It'll at least reduce it a little bit. Let's see here. If your soil is more like a jar and it's hard to suck on, it doesn't have a lot of spongy gravel. Gravel's ideal because you just get a lot of airflow through it. But if you have poor permeability, you got to dig out even more than the 2-gallon pit, which I'm still trying to understand how making a deeper hole in one specific area with crappy, low permeability soil, how that's really going to help suck more out. Seems like it's just going to suck on a bigger jar. You're still going to have a jar. But anyway, that's what they found. So you got to pull out at a minimum by just the requirement, at least 2 gallons, which is 0.25 cubic feet. And if some of you have a sump pump, like a sump pit in your basement, you got to actually seal that thing up, seal the lid, so that you don't end up having leakages around there.
Right.
And you can actually use the sump pit as your suction point, but you just have to make sure that you have a connection that you can disconnect if you need to get into the sump pit to get to the pump. But that might actually make your job a little easier if you can just use the sump pit to suck on. Sounds terrible, doesn't it? Oh. And if you have a crawl space and you're doing your encapsulation, a lot of people, just a little food for thought, your seams have to be overlapped by 12 inches. Not these 2 inches that I see in crawl spaces all the time, but a full foot.
Wow.
Yep. Got to be overlapped by a foot and sealed. So not just overlap, but overlapped by a foot and sealed. Otherwise, not good enough. And you got to label everything.
Mm.
That may seem like just a dumb thing to have to say, but I was out at now granted it was a new construction site, so they hadn't finished everything yet, but there was a 3-inch PVC pipe just sticking up out of the slab of this basement, and the plumber, and this was up in the mountains, Charlottesville.
Okay.
And I'm there with the plumber, And he's looking at this, and at the time I didn't have any idea. Radon hadn't even like occurred to me yet. And I'm looking at this pipe, and he's like, "Yeah, we put this pipe here's for radon, and it's a passive radon system." And at the time, I didn't really pay much attention to it. But I'm looking at this pipe, and I'm looking at the drain pipe right next to it that's identical, and I'm thinking, well, how the hell am I supposed to know that that's not a drain? Because when we tie into things, and it happens all the time, where people go in and they go, "Oh, I'm going to hook a water softener up." There's a drain right there, and they drill a hole in the side of that thing, thinking it's a drain, and then they're actually dumping all this water underneath their house. Crazy. Not a drain. But you're supposed to label all these. Now, I don't know what the requirement is in terms of labeling a passive system, because a passive system is literally just a pipe. It comes from the gravel, and it literally goes straight up, and it comes out through the roof. So they're doing that on all high risk around here. If your construction is in that EPA high risk zone, like west of 95, they're making you radon resistant construction practices is what it's called. So they actually already have the pipe in the concrete, already going all the way up through the roof. The only thing they don't have is a fan. They're hoping that just the natural giving the radon a better path to just go, hey, let me find that. Oh, there's a big old pipe. And boom, up through the roof. They're hoping that that's going to take care of it. Worst case, they're all prepped up, or they should be prepped up, so that you can go up in the attic and actually install the fan. And now you've got an ASD, active soil depressurization, instead of a passive, which doesn't have a fan. Makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But all that big long story because of labeling. Because there was nothing labeled.
Right.
But apparently, he may be labeling that later, and I'm going to follow back up with him because now I'm curious.
Hopefully so.
Yeah. And you can't put the fan inside the house unless it's in the garage and there's no space above the garage that people could live. So the fan has to be outside or in the attic.
Gotcha.
Unless, now, if you're in Canada and you're listening to this, the rules are different in Canada. And you're probably thinking, well, why is that? Because it gets so friggin' cold in Canada that the humidity that constantly comes out of the ground has caused icing problems in really, really cold climates up there. So they have permitted them to, okay, you can put your fan somewhere where it's warmer so that the fan doesn't get frozen. But they're trying to get that here in the U.S., but the way that it is right now, it's still, you have to keep it outside.
Yeah. Probably be like a regional thing.
Yes.
If they do it here.
If they do it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can't put them in below the ground unless there's a jurisdictional code that allows you to do that. Let's see. The purpose of the fan, and this is where it gets really like engineering tricky, is the fan is supposed to A, look good, or is it supposed to provide the pressure difference and airflow capacity necessary to achieve the mitigation goal? Of course, it's the second one.
Looks good, right? Does it actually say that? Oh my gosh, it does.
It does. That was the only one there. That was the only easy question.
That's funny.
I was like, oh, okay. But yeah, basically the fan sizing, there's a lot of different fans out there, and there's a lot of these radon guys that are like, I just use an RP 140, and they just go ahead and smack this thing in on every single job. Now, that's not necessarily the best fan. There's a whole science to sizing exactly what the which style fan. Part of the requirements that we have to do as mitigators. What was it?
This is looking up the fan. The first result.
RP 140, right?
The first one said buy radon away.
Yep.
That's funny.
And it was an RP 140. Yeah, that's like the most common one.
Interesting.
I've already learned some of the lingo here.
Yeah. Sorry. Anyways, you were saying.
No. I loved it going down another little rabbit hole there. But the fan, because there's different fans, and part of our class, it was actually pretty fascinating. It was they had like 8 different fans set up, and they were showing the amount of pressure and the amount of air. Like there's a trade-off. You can have a fan that can suck really hard and not move a lot of air, or you can have a fan that moves a lot of air and it doesn't give you a lot of suction. And then there's all these different ones. That's why the analysis is so damn important when your pressure field extension, when you're finding out like, how much airflow you're actually going to get through. So when you're sucking on it with your shop vac, you have these gauges that you're supposed to be able to hook up, and it'll tell you what the air velocity is.
Oh.
And that helps you to determine what size fan. You got to make your own. It's crazy.
Wow.
There's no you can't just order a 3-inch testing device and just hook a shop vac up to it, which makes me think, maybe I need to start making these things, because if I got to make one, that means there's hundreds and thousands of other radon professionals that probably could use the same thing.
Right.
They're out there making their own too. But if I can crank these things out and they work, look for me in the future.
Yeah.
But anyway, you got to figure out what size fan, because one of the things that's required besides doing a drawing of your layout is you actually have to tell the customer, give them a calculation of what that fan is going to cost them in operation. Now, what I learned the other day was that you're going to go through a whole shit ton of time doing this calculation to find out that the fan is going to cost you somewhere between $15 and $40 a year. Yeah. I know. I was like, I just went through hours of exercises for $40 a year. It's like $3 a month.
Right.
It's not even. Why did I just spend all my time?
That's like a subscription to something basic.
Yeah, it was overkill, but that is required. So if you get a radon guy and he doesn't give you your expected fan cost, he's not complying with the current stuff. So just something to think about. You have to have the fan on the vertical. It can't be on the one that goes side, across the room. It's got to be in the up towards the sky position, because that's not what they're designed for. And there's got to be some monitors on there. Usually there's like a little warning system that they'll put in, and what we call a YouTube, not YouTube like you watch, but a YouTube. It's got like blue liquid in it that will tell you, it'll give you a quick visual. Do you have suction inside the pipe? And those never fail, even power outages. But there's a whole list of stuff that's required. I don't even want to go through all that, because I think I beat that dead horse. That's a heck of a start.
Yeah, man.
If anybody wants to get more information, you can actually go to Radon Away. They're pretty good. I actually got a chance to meet a lot of the people with that company over the last few months, and they're super helpful, super knowledgeable leaders in the industry. They are not paying me by any means to mention them. I'm just doing this as a free
promo.
A free promo.
Yeah.
Just because. But
you believe that heavily in their services.
I do. They got good stuff, and I just ran into was it yesterday? Day before yesterday. I was out scoping out another radon house. And I got there, and they already had a radon in the air system. And I see this, the pipe sticking out with the fan. And this thing had already been in there for 10, 15 years. It was crazy how nobody's touched it. And they just keep running. Yeah. And it was a Radon Away fan. So
nice.
They're beasts. I went ahead and give it a once over, and I was like, yeah, it appears to still be doing what it's supposed to do. But hopefully, we didn't even take a break on this one. That was just
blew right through it.
Blew right through.
Mm-hmm.
Can you think of anything that I may have not mentioned that was in your mind?
I mean, you went through last episode what radon is.
Mm-hmm.
You went through how bad it. In this episode, you went through the issues it can cause, how you can alleviate those issues, and Yeah, it kind of
Yeah.
covers it. Yeah.
Pretty much it. What to expect, I guess, is what I was trying to share what I learned in a 1 hour, easy to listen to podcast
Right.
that didn't nerd out too much. But you know what I didn't mention? A post mitigation measurement is required to be initiated somewhere within 24 hours and 30 days. No sooner than this. If somebody puts their system in and goes ahead and starts a retest as soon as they leave, unless they've got a time delay of 24 hours like my devices have, that's not allowed. So they got to come back at least a day later, no sooner, but they have to do it within 30 days.
Gotcha.
So, and why is that? Because you obviously want to know. You want to know. I was going to say you want a documented bit of proof, but technically, the post-mitigation test should be performed by whom? A licensed home inspector, someone other than the radon mitigation contractor, the property owner, the original measurement performer. That's a tough one. Should be.
Should be.
The national standards either suggest or require that someone other than the radon mitigation contractor do it.
Gotcha.
But should be. That's not shall.
Gotcha.
They highly recommend, and that's a trick one. I actually got that one wrong the first time. And I had to go back and change it. Because I was like...
And now why is that?
So, yeah, that's why I wanted to mention that.
Okay.
So, the difference between shall and should. Shall is a command. You shall do this.
Right.
Should is it's a recommendation, right? You should brush your teeth. But you don't, if you don't, it's not going to be the end of the world.
You're not legally required to brush your teeth.
So they recommend that if, let's just say that you're the homeowner and I've just done the radon mitigation, they say it should, in a perfect world, be done by somebody other than me because I technically am partial to the whole thing.
Right.
They want somebody that's impartial and neutral to come in and be able to test another certified person. But that's not a shall. I can do it as the mitigator. So, I know, isn't that
yeah.
It makes you wonder, because I was like, wait a minute. Why is that not right? And then it can be done. It can be done by the property owner. It can be done by a licensed home inspector, because it doesn't have to be a certified test unless you're in a state like Virginia that requires it if you're charging.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's
nice.
That was the one thing I was like, damn it, I knew I forgot something. Yeah, the post mitigation test.
And man,
hopefully this was a riveting one. I know it was like not in water, but it was related to radon and water, and they actually go hand in hand.
Right.
And due to my own experiences that I've been dealing with for the last 2-3 months, it's a wild ride. So yeah. I'll let you know how this goes along. And the other thing, when you're doing your testing with your shop vac, make sure that you run a hose all the way to the outside from your shop vac. Because think about it, you're running a shop vac, you're sucking on the concrete to get your measurements. You are sucking up nothing but just radon gas.
Yep.
Blowing it into the basement or the home. So you want that stuff to go outside.
You need an exhaust tube let outside.
Yep. A long, long hose. Like a lot of shop vacs have an in and an out.
Yeah.
You want one that goes, you can put it through a window. You just don't want all that stuff. You don't want to suck it out and then blow it. Next thing you know, your house went from 4.3 to 78.
What happened?
Yeah.
Paul told me to do this and now I have a high concentration.
Yeah. Vent your shop vac. Make sure that your guy, whoever's doing your stuff, is venting the shop vac.
Yep.
That's crazy. But yeah, good stuff.
Yes.
I'm very passionate about it because it's affecting me in my personal life. But it's kind of cool because this is another challenge that this year we're our goal. The Raleigh office did 14 systems in water last year. We did 1. Yeah, I was like, what the heck? So they're way ahead of us in terms, but they got a geologist. He's got his PhD in geology down there, and he's wicked smart on all the formations and stuff. So he knows right where that stuff is. So he was more dialed in than we were. And apparently the tests that we did before, we didn't either do them properly, or we just tested areas that just didn't have a high radon concentration. So we were like, we must not have too much radon up here. Well, we do.
Yep.
We do. But anyway, I hope everybody has a great 2026.
Absolutely.
This is a great way to kick it off. And we look forward to you next time. I'm running around with my hair on fire, so we will try to get every 2 to 3 weeks for a podcast, but it is what it is, and we're going to make them super good when they come out.
Oh, yeah.
So, more to come. Thank you.